Hello, I'm Brad Sherwood, and welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
That's very good.
Thank you. I should be in show business.
You should. Well, now you are. This is your stepping stone.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Maybe someday I'll be on Greg's podcast.
Well, fingers crossed. Greg's in the UK, they sell sausage rolls and cakes and stuff like that. It's a huge thing. So, yeah, they've got a podcast too.
Oh.
Unless you mean Greg Proops.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
The one I could actually possibly get on his podcast.
Absolutely. Now, so how are you today?
I'm well. We're going to go see the theater today and do a dry blocking so that the director who will be shooting it for the screens so the audience can see from every angle just kind of gets a feel of what we may be doing. So we don't really rehearse, but it's kind of like a choreography blocking for the cameras.
Like Cirque du Soleil?
Just like that, except none of us are limber.
Oh.
Yeah. Very unlimber. Maybe years ago, but now we're all old. I think our combined age is like 400 years old for the cast.
Yeah, but if you combine loads of people's age anyway, it gets quite a big number, right?
Yeah, but that's just 6 people. That's a lot. Everybody's over 50, so, no spring chickens. Chip is maybe the young... Oh, no, Jeff. Jeff, he's under 50.
There you go.
Bastard.
Now, I wanted to start by asking you about the nanny you played, Ned Baron, in LA Law. Do you ever think about Ned and what he might be up to these days?
Yeah, that was Ned's one and only dramatic acting turn.
Yeah.
And then he realized that he was better suited for comedy. And Hollywood realized it too, so they never cast him again in something dramatic.
Very sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but I think comedy's worked out though. So.
Absolutely. Now, did you start by doing like a comedy class in LA?
I took an improv workshop when I was out in LA early on when I first moved out there after acting school, and loved it. It was kind of like, oh, this is what I was meant to do. Really, I took to it immediately because I'd always made my friends laugh. So I had already started thinking as an improviser, just listening to what's going on and cracking wise on what was happening. So that was basically the improv muscle already.
Do you recommend classes like that for anyone that wants to get into comedy?
I think, for improv, you sort of have to learn kind of the do's and don'ts because it's a collaborative thing. You're working with people, so you sort of have to learn. It's almost like a dance. You have to learn when to move sideways and forward and backwards because you're working with someone else on the scene. Otherwise, you're just stepping on their toes the whole time and pushing them out of the way, which doesn't make for a good improv scene.
Is that not how you dance? Oh.
Well, it depends what kind of dance you're doing, but kind of like in a conversation, if you're having lunch with someone and you're the only one talking, then it's not really a conversation. It's a monologue that they're nodding yes to.
This is how a lot of my early interviews went very wrong. I didn't ask any questions. I just told them things, and then over the years I've adapted that now.
So now you're a better listener, and it's more organic. That's good. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
It must have been interesting talking to Colin because he very rarely talks. So if he talked, then you really did a good job.
It was mostly pre-recorded with Colin.
Yeah. He's kind of a shy person.
So in 1994, you were on a TV show called The News, which went out 5 days a week. Was there a lot of pressure sort of making that much content?
There was a lot of pressure. It was so fun though. It was one of the most creative times in my life because we were writing this stuff, and we would go back to the studio and shoot for 3 weeks, and in 3 weeks we were shooting 3 weeks worth of 5 days. So we were getting 21 episodes during a 3-week period, and it was such a creative time. It was kind of like being on SNL on steroids because they worked for a week just to do one show.
Yeah.
And, we were doing crazy characters and spoofs and send-ups and parodies, and it really was a blast.
Absolutely. And did you initially audition for Whose Line Is It Anyway, the UK version in Los Angeles? Is that correct?
Yes. I was working at Second City in LA, and I was working with Ryan. I was actually his understudy for the main show. I was in the touring company, and the producers, Dan Patterson, was coming through town to look for people, and Ryan told me about it and said you should go to the audition. So I went to the audition, and I was the only person from the LA auditions that got onto the show that year. I don't know if you've seen the show, the musical chorus line.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like that. Every 20 minutes or so, he would say, "Thank you, thank you, thank you," and then more people would leave. And these were all people that I knew and were my friends, and so it was really a rough one, you know.
It sounds quite intimidating. We'll work it out, right?
Yeah. Well, I was pretty young and eager and dumb, so at the time, compared to any other type of audition I was doing, I was just having a great time because improv is my thing. So I wasn't really nervous about not getting it. It didn't even occur to me that I wasn't going to get on the show.
Absolutely, and I think that's the best way of doing things. Just enjoy them, and if you get it, it's great. If you don't, at least you know you tried.
Yes. Same with robbing a bank. If you really think it's going to work, then you have the confidence to do it.
Yeah, you can't be nervous about doing that because that will come across, and they won't hand over as much money.
Yeah, they're more likely to get distracted and ring the bell.
Yeah.
They're not afraid of you. Yeah, it's just word to the wise if you plan on robbing a bank.
Yeah, just even if you pick the wrong mask, if you pick a friendly character that they love, they'll go, "Hey, Elmo's here. This is great. Hi, Elmo."
Who can take that seriously?
I know.
It has to be something intimidating or terrifying, like Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly. It comes up a lot in these things.
Oh yeah. Well, it's all we're thinking about. Like you're all thinking about Brexit. He's our Brexit.
No, they're the same. They're basically one and the same. They're just 2016 went massively wrong.
Yeah. The world, roiled up this sort of hatred of people that are different than themselves, and everybody wants, especially old people, they want the world to stay the same. And so that's the fear that they capitalized on for Brexit and for ushering in Donald Trump.
I'm sure it's all going to get fixed very soon. It'll be fine.
I think it's pretty cool. I don't know what you guys are going to do, because there's sort of a no-win situation unless you kind of go, just kidding, let's go back to the way it was. I mean, I don't see how you guys can make a clean break and really have what you want.
Yeah, I don't know that they've entirely thought it through,
They didn't, and all the people that were sort of spearheading this are gone. Yeah. So I find that interesting. They created this mess, and then so long.
Because I'm reluctant to even say what's happening at the moment, which is still complete chaos, because I know it changes every single day, so it will become outdated and something more ridiculous will happen.
I think you should write up a plan to get back into the European Union and call it Brentrance.
Oh. I like that.
Yeah. That's what I'm running on that platform. I'm in the No Labor Party because I don't like to work.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. I endorse this message.
Thank you. Teresa, if you need me to give you some pointers, yeah.
There we go. Now, what are your favourite and least favourite games, and whose lines it anyway?
Well, I think universally everyone hates Hoedown.
Hates it?
Yeah.
I enjoy that. To watch it.
Yeah, watching it's great, but it's just, I like doing the music improv stuff, but that one just seems kind of, you're basically doing two rhymes, and you're doing it all in a row, so it's kind of like top this, top this, top this down the line, and they're taking your rhymes the whole time. So, but I like all the other difficult music games, because that's like doing a really difficult crossword puzzle in front of an audience.
Absolutely. And the comedians are all amazing. Do you ever get the giggles, or start laughing and can't continue?
Oh, all the time. I break up all the time. I'm very theatrically unprofessional. Corpsing, I guess, is what it's called here.
Yeah.
We call it Harvey Kormaning in the United States, because he was on the Carol Burnett show, and he was always in these sketches with Tim Conway, who would make him laugh, and he would just be crying, and so it's called a Harvey Korman in the United States, but corpsing is basically.
See, I'm okay unless, I don't know, if they break me and something really funny gets through, then I'll just laugh at nothing afterwards, and I just can't solve the problem. Yeah,
well, I think if you're having fun on stage, the audience doesn't care that you're not propelling the scene. They sort of enjoy it when we get each other like that.
I think so. It always makes it more fun if you can see the people are enjoying it too, right?
Absolutely. I always say that when you're working on stage with someone, you're sort of building something together, like making a sandcastle, but you're also competing with each other like you're having a snowball fight.
Absolutely.
So all that at once, working with and against each other all at the same time.
Now, you're really good at impressions, the guy from the B-52s and loads of others. Have you got any favourites?
No, this is an unknown skill that was just basically unearthed by the producers Whose Line. I did not walk the world doing impressions, except for Kermit the Frog when I was a kid. But then they sort of threw stuff at me, and they said, "Oh, can you do Springsteen?" So I tried it, and they all started laughing because it sounded like him. And the same with Fred Schneider from the B-52s. And so I sort of collected them. They would throw it at me, and then I would either be able to do it or not. So that's how I learned that I could do all the different people that I have done on the show over and over again.
Now, you're also a wonderful singer. If you could duet with anyone in the world, be it on that show or just in general, who would it be?
Oh, geez, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's a tough one. I mean, I'd like to sing with a lot of people, but more in a realistic way, because I think real singers would be terrified to do improv, so I wouldn't want to be up there with someone that was terrified of not having fun. But I've loved doing song improv with Josie Lawrence. We've gotten to work in the British shows, the live ones that we've been doing a couple of times, and it's just a joy because she's got such a strong theatrical and musical theater background, and she's a great improviser. So when we're doing duets together, it feels really sublime.
They say on the show that points don't matter, but do they kind of matter a bit to you? Do you get competitive when you're playing it?
I've tried to redeem them at the bank, and they have zero value.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have. I don't know how many I have. Someone actually tallied them up. I think watched every episode and counted the points. I think Colin is way out in the lead, followed by Ryan, and then Wayne, and then the rest of us are.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You've been touring with Colin separately as well for about 17 years. I've seen some really fun clips from your show, like the entire floor was covered in mouse traps and there was like additional ones hanging from the ceiling. Why would you do that to yourself?
I'm still wondering. We actually have sort of phased that out of our show now.
Makes sense.
Which I'm glad about. But it was just an improv game that I tried once, that I had seen in an improv list of games. There's a group called Theater Sports. They used to have one here in London, and the San Francisco Theater Sports people compiled sort of a master bible of all the games that everybody had ever come up with that they'd ever known, and one of them in there was mousetraps. And so I was looking through it and I was like, I want to try that sometime. And we were doing a improv tournament in Amsterdam, and the guy I was doing the show with, he and I decided to try it, and it went great. It was hilarious. So when we used to do shows in Las Vegas with Drew and the whole cast of Whose Line and the Drew Carey Show, I pitched it to them, and they said, let's try it. And then we just started doing it all the time, and then that show sort of dried up and went away. But Colin and I started doing it in our show, and now we just phased it out because the audience loves it. They love it, and it's not really improv, which is kind of why we don't want to do it anymore. It's just sort of a goofy, gimmicky game. But the audience squeal like little kids, so we kept doing it.
Absolutely.
Because we're shameless.
It's the best way. You've also made over 100 appearances on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. It's kind of moved on, I believe, now in the US. Who would you say is the sort of the biggest talk show host over there at the moment? Is there anyone you'd love to work with? Well,
Stephen Colbert, he was on Whose Line. He did, I think, 1 or 2 episodes of Whose Line way back when. I think all of them are good in their own way. I like Jimmy Fallon's sort of young, boyish goofiness. I think he's engaging when he asks people stuff, and his segments where he does, karaoke and stuff, I think is really funny. I think Kimmel is great. I just like his spirit. He just seems like such a nice guy. And I like his politics. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's really a strong field compared to the old days when it was just Letterman and Leno. That was it in the United States. And now there's like 6 guys that are doing great late-night chat shows.
Absolutely. I also love stuff like The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. So there's lots of good stuff going on at the moment.
Yeah, and John Oliver is awesome. But that's not really a chat show. But, yes.
He chats on it.
Huh?
He chats on it, though.
Yeah, he does, but many times it's sort of him doing the monologue, sort of news style. So I don't really consider that a full sit down at the desk and talk to people as much, even though he does have guests from time to time.
One thing I find funny about that show, watching it from the UK, is that they'll often have footage from UK Parliament, but that's not allowed to be shown in a comedy sense on British TV. So during those scenes, they often will replace them with something else. It's just kind of funny to watch that.
Wow. It's like kittens
Yeah.
dancing. Yeah. I saw someone took the mace the other day during a session of Parliament.
See, it's kind of different when you mace someone in the UK. It's very energetic. It's not like a little spray that you might get in the US.
Yeah, well, I remember the mace was like a handle with a chain and a ball with spikes. I didn't realize a mace was also the big fancy golden scepter.
See, when we go medieval on people in the UK, we do it like literally.
Well, yeah. I mean, you still have all the buildings, so
We decided to keep the buildings.
yeah, that's a good thing. You know, our oldest buildings are still only about 250, 300 years old. So
The castle's in Disneyland.
yes,
It's a good castle though.
yeah, it is. There's a restaurant in it, so.
It's very true. So you are in the UK, apart from my show, to do the 30th anniversary of Whose Lines It Anyway, the Royal Albert Hall. What do you attribute to the show's lasting success and appeal?
Well, I think that the comedy in the show is kind of universal. It's not terribly topical, and it's improv is smart people acting stupidly. So people, what we do is goofy, and there's always a place for goofy. And there will always be people that look at the show and think it's dumb because they think that they're too highbrow to enjoy the goofiness of it. And that's that just like music, everybody has their own taste in what they like. Some people only like super sarcastic, snarky stand-up comics. Other people like silly, and we're sort of we're almost like a variety show or a sketch show, but we're making it up. And I think people like to see how our brains work and how we dig ourselves out of all these situations.
Absolutely. And what are you working on next?
Just still doing the tour with Colin. He and I have a busy spring coming up, and we're going to just keep going as long as we can keep going.
Absolutely. Well, that's very exciting. I hope you do. And finally, have you got any messages for people watching the Sarah O'Connell show today and your fans around the world?
I love coming here. I've come here so many times to do shows, whether it was a taping of a Whose Line or whatever, and in fact, every time I've ever come here was for work, and I've been here a bunch of times. So I have a very soft spot in my heart for England and London in particular, and my ancestry, Sherwood, is about as English as you can get. So I also feel a genetic pull to this place as well.
That's fantastic. And do you think Whose Line could come back to the UK at all? And if so, would you like to be a part of it?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's hard for networks to re-buy something that is sort of a pre-existing old property and dust it off because they want to change it. They want to, we should do it, but let's do it with only 20-year-olds, so every time you try and change a formula that really works the way it works, you're going to suffer, I think. So unless they bought it lock, stock, and barrel with the cast that it already has, I don't know if it would take off. I know Australia tried to do it, and it didn't succeed.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did a Whose Line, and I think it was only on for one season because they didn't have any of us.
Oh yeah, that's what they need. Well, Brad Sherwood, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing the show at the weekend.
All right. We will be there. I'm pretty sure we will be.
It's only down the road.
Yeah, I've already mapped it out for the walk.
Perfect.
Yeah, unless it's raining, then I'll take a cab.
Just leave it if it's raining. Just sit it out to the next one. It's not worth it.
Indeed. Well, it was supposed to rain the whole time I was here, so already I've had a day and a half of no rain, so I feel like I'm ahead of the game already.
I think what's happened is you've just got so used to the rain. Like in England, I can't even see rain anymore. I don't even know when it's raining. I think that's happened.
Yeah. You're almost an amphibian.
Yeah, I never tell the truth. I don't know.
With the fib, F-I-B?
Yeah.
I got it.
Thank you very much for watching the Sarah O'Connell show today, and for Brett for being here. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you in this lovely little place. You should take some establishing shots of what the ceiling above us looks like.
Yeah, I should. It's a good idea.
See that in this, but it feels like a place where they would do photos for weddings. Like the bride and groom would sit in this little gazebo festooned with flowers and such.
Oh, that's what this is. So the priest will be here shortly.
Oh.
Yeah, this is coming out. Yeah, excited. Surprise.
Become a Mormon because I already have one wife.
That's fine in the UK. Don't worry about it. Happens all the time. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to share, subscribe, give the video a big thumbs up, and I'll see you all again soon for another episode of the Sarah O'Connell Show. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, that was fun.
Pleasure.
Thanks.